How's it going, everybody? This is Rachel at Clawhammer Supply, and today is the first day of summer. So to celebrate, we're gonna be brewing a Lazy Hazy Summer Session IPA. It's gonna be low ABV, medium bitterness, and lots of juicy hop flavor. So typically we don't show adjusting water chemistry on these videos, but today we're gonna show you. So we're doing 7.5 grams of calcium chloride for our 8-gallon batch of water. And now 3.6 grams of gypsum, which is calcium sulfate. 0.6 grams of Epsom salt, which is like barely any. Just a sprinkle of Epsom salt. So now we've balanced out our water chemistry and we are ready to brew. So for this brew, we're primarily using a Pilsner malt, which you can see here. We'll be grinding that up in a minute. In addition to that, we're also using some flaked wheat, flaked barley, and flaked oats. So these three will add a nice body and flavor to the beer without adding alcohol. Because we still do want a session beer, because in the middle of summertime, you don't want to be drinking beer with a ton of alcohol in it. So you want to be able to have a couple without getting wasted. Woo. So we're now grinding the Pilsner malt. So we have our ground Pilsner malt now. So I'm just gonna add in our flaked oats, flaked barley, and flaked wheat. And then we're gonna mash all of this in together. Add a big pile of oatmeal. Part of this complete breakfast. I'm so dumb. Okay, so we are now ready to mash in. We're gonna mash in at 160 degrees for 60 minutes. Somehow fit all of this in here. We'll see how I do. This is my first solo beer brew experience. I think it's gonna be great though. So we're just gonna break up the chunks and get all the air bubbles out. And then, okay. So today we're gonna mash at 160 degrees. That is the high end of the mash spectrum. And the reason we're mashing at such a high temp is to make the beer a little bit sweeter. The low end of the spectrum would be around in the 140s. So we're just bumping up the temp a little bit just to add some sweetness. Okay, so we are done with our 60-minute mash. I'm going to turn the pump off. I'm gonna just lift this up. Ugh. Okay. So we're gonna let the grains drain for about 10 minutes here while we jack up our heat to boil. All right, so it looks like our grains are pretty well drained. I'm just gonna take out the basket and put it in a bucket down here at an angle. So I put in this hot basket to create a little bit of a space here when I add the lid. It creates a steam vent so that the boil doesn't go over the edges. All right, so we are weighing out our first hop addition. We're gonna do 1/4 ounce of the Eldorado hops. So where are here? Oh, there they are, look. I got them, first try. There's a lot of hops in that freezer. So, here we go. Vacuum seal, baby. Perfect. So Eldorado is a great dual purpose hop. We're using the Eldorado as our 60-minute bittering addition, but we're also gonna be using it as a late addition to add in some bright tropical fruit flavors like watermelon, pear, and stone fruit. Ow. Our mash is up to a boil now, as you can see. So we're going to add our 1/4 ounce of the Eldorado hops. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left of our 60-minute boil. We'll just flip on our pump and recirculate that for a few minutes to sanitize. So we are done with our 60-minute boil now, and what we're gonna do is turn off the heat element because we wanna get the wort down to 180 degrees for our final whirlpool hop addition. I'm also gonna turn on the pump during this time. And now we're gonna get some cool water flowing through our hose. And you can see here, the temperature is actually dropping fairly quickly with the wort plate chiller on. All right, so we have reached 180 degrees. And so now we're gonna do a final whirlpool hop addition. We're gonna do 2 ounces each of the Eldorado and the Mosaic hops. Here we go, rocking and rolling. Oops. Okay, and now we're gonna just turn the pump back on for 20 minutes. All right, so our 20-minute whirlpool is finished. We are now going to turn on the hose and cool our wort down to pitching temp so we can pitch our yeast. All right, so we're gonna take our starting gravity here. So we'll know what we're working with. 1046 or 1047. So that's what you can expect when you brew this beer. We have our sanitized fermenter here. I'm just gonna turn off the pump and pump back on. Definitely summer brew. It smells honestly like pineapple juice. I'm really excited. Now it's time to pitch our yeast. Again, we're using the London Ale yeast from White Labs. There we go. This is always the most awkward part of the whole thing. So we're just gonna agitate and aerate for about a minute. All right. Say we're good. So now I'm gonna put our airlock in. God damn it. So as you just witnessed, I broke the airlock because I shoved it in too tightly. Just don't do that, kids. You don't have to push it that hard. I pushed it too hard. I manhandled it, and now I broke it. So we have another one we're using. That's probably sufficient. So today was a very interesting brew day. I feel like I learned a lot. This was the first brew that I did completely by myself. So we had a couple little snafus, but nothing too bad. So I'm gonna taste this wort and see where we're at. It smells just like pineapple juice, and it kind of looks like it too, so it's gonna be good. So it's like super sweet, super fruity. There's like guava, pineapple, watermelon I can definitely taste. And I think it's gonna make a really nice, light, tropical beer. Cheers. Hello again. So it's been a couple of days since we brewed our wort that is now beer. And now we're gonna dry hop a little bit. We're gonna use 2 ounces of El Dorado hops. All right, right on the money. Take off the lid here. This is our hop bag. It's basically the size of a body bag, but we're just gonna put some hops in it. So dry hopping your beer is a really good way to just add to the hoppy aroma of your beer. It's a great thing to do for IPAs. It'll give us a little more of that citrus, pineapple-y flavor that we were going for, and it'll smell delicious. So now we're gonna dry hop for 3 days or so, and then take this bag out and continue the fermenting process. Hopefully end up with a really yummy IPA. So we're back here after a couple of days. We've been dry hopping our IPA, and now we're getting ready to take the hops out so that we can finish fermenting and then keg in a couple of days. My hands are sanitized. I'm just letting the hops drain out a little bit. I'm not gonna squeeze them too much. I'm just gonna let it drain. So now we're just gonna sanitize the lid, put it back on, pop in a new airlock, and then we're gonna ferment for a couple more days before we keg this baby up. It's definitely like way hoppier since we dry hopped it. I'm smelling like a lot of pineapple, pineapple and hops. I think it's gonna be super refreshing and crispy and delicious. Ugh. Okay. All right, so my hands are Star Sand, sanitized, and I'm gonna take a final gravity reading. And I'm just using a turkey baster to pull some of the beer out. Grabbing my handy dandy hydrometer. All right, let's see where we're at. Our final gravity is 1020, and the reason it finished higher is because we mashed at a higher temperature at 160, and that's gonna create a little bit more of a body in our beer and a little more mouthfeel. So that's right where we want it. I'm just gonna pop my lid off. We have our auto siphon here. So exciting. My beer's getting kegged. It's a full fiber, 5 gallons. Okay, now we're just gonna put it in the kegerator. I did it. We're at our 4th of July party. This is my Lazy Hazy. It's very hazy. It's super hot out right now, so this is freezing and it tastes delicious. It's still like super tropical, fruity, pineapple-y, refreshing. Happy 4th of July!